Now at 5, Spire shares some tips to help you save on your heating bill. Plus, the Miners Hall Museum in Southeast Kansas gets a historic edition. And
former President Trump spoke his mind in court today against a judge's wishes. I'm Bradley Blackburn outside the courthouse in New York with what he said as his civil fraud trial comes to a close.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
better prepare for colder weather. The temperature is gonna drop. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
All right, Dow. Yeah, it's definitely been a warmer day for us today, but huge changes moving in as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Look at our temps right now. We're mid to upper 50s to lower 60s, but we have an Arctic front, which is heading toward us, and we're going to see temperatures really cool down. Plus, the winds have really been picking up. Southeasterly winds at about 15 to 20 to 25, but gusts have been pushing 40 at times. We do have a winter weather advisory for us late tonight into tomorrow morning, mainly along the I-44 corridor. This is due to a few icy patches and a few snow showers, but our temperatures are going to drop so fast, any rain we get could flash freeze on us, meaning water on the roadways freeze as those temperatures drop. Not too much going on for us right now, but our wave is rotating through western parts of Texas, and of course that's going to head toward us late tonight, so some scattered thunderstorms popping up after about 10 p.m. We're going to be talking more about this and what this means for you, all coming up here in just a bit.
See you soon. A reminder, many communities across our area have warming centers where you can go to escape the cold. They include a number of public libraries, senior centers, and other facilities. Some are open only when temperatures drop below 32 degrees and access might be limited to business hours. And many will have specific rules to ensure public safety. You can find a list of dozens of area shelters along with contact information on our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. As the temperatures drop, Spire Energy is sharing some tips to help you save on your energy bill. They recommend sealing areas around your home where air could get in, including windows, chimneys, closets, and doors that lead outside. You might also save by replacing furnace filters and installing a programmable thermostat.
You do an annual furnace check is advised, and also a thermostat, to where electronic thermostat to where it'll turn down in the evenings when you go to bed, and then maybe when you're away. Will really help the efficiency of your furnace and help to keep your home at a comfortable temperature.
For more tips to help you save this winter, go to our website again, KOAMnewsnow.com. We're still awaiting an update from Liberty Utilities concerning that collapse of a wind turbine in Barton County, Missouri. As we told you yesterday, the turbine was part of the North Fork Ridge wind farm off Highway 43. Liberty says no one was hurt in the collapse. We've reached out to the company for any information on the cause of the collapse and on their investigation into that incident. We have not yet received a response. The Miners Hall Museum is receiving a piece of history in the form of a 30,000-pound Inslee model K-12 dragline. The dragline is going to sit on the museum showcase field along with other mining antiques. Back in the glory days, this dragline was used to mine clay in southeast Kansas. Now it's a piece of history.
As far as draglines go, it's not a very big one, but it's very important because these machines are being scrapped all the time. They're worth more in scrap than they are to most people.
A larger dragline is going to be delivered to the Miners Hall Museum in the coming months. Hunter Biden's legal troubles brought him back to court in California today to be arraigned on federal tax charges. He pleaded not guilty. A plea deal to avoid prison fell apart last summer, you might recall, and was followed by an indictment accusing the president's son of a scheme to avoid paying at least $1.4 million in taxes. Former President Donald Trump spoke out during closing arguments of his civil fraud trial in New York City. At stake is potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties and the Trump Organization's ability to do business in New York. Bradley Blackburn reports from outside the courthouse in Manhattan.
With closing arguments underway in his New York civil fraud case Thursday, former President Donald Trump made his case directly to the public.
This is a political witch hunt, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before.
Inside the courtroom, Trump, who had wanted to give a closing argument himself, spoke briefly, calling the proceedings, quote, a fraud on me, before the judge cut him off.
Now we'll see if we're going to get an honest verdict. We didn't have a jury. We had no rights to a jury.
New York Attorney General Letitia James brought the case, accusing Trump and his company of financial fraud by inflating the values of its real estate properties in order to get better loans. The state is seeking $370 million in penalties. The case could end up barring Trump from doing business in New York.
The state's argument is very clear here, which is we have put on plenty of proof that the former president inflated his assets by a huge amount in order to enrich himself and his family.
Before the trial started, the judge had already ruled that Trump engaged in fraud. The big issue that remains for him to decide now is what, if any, damages to award.
I'm not sure you can show a high level of damages or ill-gotten gains from this transaction.
Trump disregarded limits imposed by the judge during his comments in the courtroom. He used them to maintain he did nothing wrong.
We're a very innocent company. We did everything right.
The hearing came hours after Judge Arthur Engoron's home received a bomb threat. He is expected to issue his ruling by the end of the month. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Now, in addition to this civil case, Trump also faces criminal charges in 4 different cases. He denies any wrongdoing. We're just 4 days out from the Iowa caucus first primary in the 2024 presidential campaign. Former President Trump is well ahead in the polls, but is relying on surrogates to campaign for him in Iowa. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are back on the campaign trail, making last-minute pitches to Iowa voters. Haley and DeSantis have gone hard after each other as they scramble to be the Republican alternative to former President Trump. Still ahead, a mixed bag from the latest inflation reports.
A government report shows inflation edging higher, but there is some good news. I'm Michael George, and I'll tell you what it is.
And next in Health Watch, how zebrafish can help researchers discover the cause of various human illnesses. Topping today's Health Watch, people with chronic pain who take medicinal marijuana have an increased risk of irregular heartbeat. That's according to researchers in Denmark who compared patients prescribed marijuana to those who were not. The data shows marijuana patients have more than twice the risk of being diagnosed with arrhythmia. The risk was higher for patients over age 60, cancer patients, and those with heart disease or diabetes. Scientists in Sweden are breeding thousands of zebrafish to be used in research they hope could reveal the causes of human illnesses like cancer and other conditions like infertility. Ian Lee has that story.
Scientists are fishing for answers in these tanks. At this lab in Sweden, they're scaling up their research with 20,000 zebrafish.
Here we have a breeding tank where we have male fish and female zebrafish together.
Researchers say since we share 70% of our genetic makeup with them, the striped fish could unlock the secrets behind a number of diseases.
You can use zebrafish in everything from cancer research. You can transplant cancer cells into the zebrafish and test new cancer drugs.
Last year, scientists in England found fasting affected the quality of eggs and sperm in zebrafish, suggesting people who eat less at certain hours of the day may raise their risk of developing fertility issues. But more studies are needed. Researchers in the U.S. are also up to their gills exploring the depths of anxiety and other mental health conditions.
And people realized that the genetic environment of the zebrafish and the patients is the same.
Scientists say their rise in popularity comes from the fact that they're cheaper to breed than mice and have a shorter life cycle.
And that gives you the opportunity to study organ development, to study the brain development for different kind of cancer diseases in a very short time.
Meaning they'll finish their research a lot quicker. Ian Lee, CBS News.
How about that? Scientists in the Swedish capital of Stockholm have been breeding zebrafish for more than 20 years. A group of physicians is sounding the alarm about declining fertility rates. The International Federation of Fertility Societies released a new paper that shows many countries are on course to have a population decline of more than 50% over the next 80 years. Those findings do not include the effects of migration. Researchers are calling on countries and companies to address fertility care, which is unaffordable to many. And that is a look at today's health news. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later how Walmart is using AI technology to boost shopper experience.
All right, it's been a warmer day for us today after it's been kind of chilly over the past couple days. All the snow that we had on Tuesday is all melted off. I've been under the weather the past couple days. That's why I'm working from home, but still, I get a little excited when we have changes moving in. It looks good right now. Notice the camera is shaking. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam. This is downtown Joplin. Partly cloudy skies, but check this out. Look at this Arctic air blast. This is our first one that we've seen of the season. It's 8 in Rapid City. It's 10 in Goodland. It's 13 in Lincoln. And that cold air is going to be rushing in later on tonight. Plus, the winds are going to stay strong. Our southerly winds have been picking up. Just over the past couple hours, we've had gusts anywhere from 20 upwards of 30 and even 35 miles per hour at times. And the winds are going to be a problem, especially when our temperatures continue to drop. So by morning, we're going to have northwesterly winds gusting between 30 and 40. They calm a little bit late tomorrow, and then they pick up again as we go into Saturday. So we're going to have low wind chills over the next few days. In fact, the way it's going to feel to your skin by tomorrow afternoon, look at this, 2, 3, 4 degrees. So bitterly cold. Wind chills drop -5, -10 by Saturday morning. And then look at this, Saturday night into Sunday morning, wind chills -20 to -30, which is bitterly cold. Winter weather advisory in effect. This is mainly due to a light glaze of ice later on tonight and a light glaze of snow. Most of the moisture is going to be off to our east, but at least for the next couple hours, we just have clouds. Now, you can see some showers picking up across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and that's where some thunderstorms are going to develop as we get into the late evening hours. So let me take you through time. Look at this. Thunderstorms, a complex rolls in 10:30, 11, 11:30, midnight. Some of these storms, especially south of I-44, they may pack a little bit of a punch. We may have some strong storms. Temperatures greatly drop. By 4 or 5 a.m., we have some freezing drizzle and a band of light little snow. It all pushes east by mid-morning, but look at the temps into the 20s. As we get into the afternoon, clouds stick. We get a little bit of sun late, but high temps, only about 20 or 23 degrees, and then it gets even worse as we go into the weekend. Look at this, by Saturday morning, overnight lows right around 10 degrees. So winter weather impacts. Snow, we're going to go low, but because of some flash freezing, some water on the roadways freezing, we're going to go moderate impacts on ice. High impacts on cold and the wind with those very, very low wind chills. But late tonight into tomorrow morning, just be careful on the roads. A glaze of ice, a dusting, maybe a half an inch of snow. The better chances for that is going to be in southwestern Missouri. But look at our temps staying into the lower 20s. 4 highs for us tomorrow, and it gets worse. By Sunday morning, lows right around 0. And check this out, another band of snow moves in by Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening, and our temperatures are going to be into the single digits, so whatever does fall is going to stay on the ground. Alert days the next few days for the extreme cold, possible alert days Monday and Tuesday, but this Arctic air, it settles in for the next several days. Dow?
Doug, thanks. An animal shelter in Miami is offering residents free straw to keep animals warm during the coming deep freeze if they can't be brought inside. Residents can pick up the straw at the Catcher Kahili Animal Shelter at 725 D Street Northeast. The shelter bought the straw using a donation from Nestle Purina Pet Care. It's available on a first-come, first-served basis. Coming up, retailers are on high alert following a new trend of fraudulent returns. Topping today's Consumer Watch, retailers are dealing with a new type of theft, fraudulent returns. Some of the items coming back were stolen. Some are sent back with fake receipts. Retailers even found a television box filled with bricks instead of a TV. The National Retail Federation estimates more than $100 billion in merchandise was returned fraudulently last year. That's about 13% of all returns. Walmart is using artificial intelligence to improve its customers' shopping experience. The nation's largest retailer says it's going to use AI to, quote, serve shoppers better. Walmart's new AI-powered search engine allows customers with iOS devices to receive more specific answers and products. Walmart is also working on its in-home replenishment service. After falling for 2 months, a new report shows inflation is on the rise. Reporter Michael George shows us where prices are going.
Eating out is getting more expensive. A report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows prices jumped more than 5% in December.
We have had to raise our prices.
Restaurant owner Walter Mansky says that's because his costs keep going up.
The cost of labor, the cost of good quality ingredients, rent, everything.
Overall, annual prices rose 3.4% in December, up from 3.1% in November. Higher energy prices helped drive the increase, and so did the cost of rent, up 6.2%. Despite inflation rising more than expected, economists do see good news. Prices at the grocery store only went up 1.3%, and after ticking up in December, the national average for gas has gone down 8 cents a gallon in the past month.
So we have been seeing progress. Remember, in 2022, in June, we were at 9.1% as an overall rate.
And CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says a metric called the core rate is at its lowest level in 2.5 years. Because of that, analysts expect the Federal Reserve will once again leave interest rates unchanged when the board meets at the end of the month. However, hopes of a rate cut this spring are fading.
I think that unless the data improve dramatically, where we see a real pushing down of the inflation rate, I think it's much more unlikely that the Fed will act and that they will keep rates at this same level.
The Fed believes keeping interest rates high will eventually bring inflation down to the target level of just 2%. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The cost of auto insurance continues to go up. The report shows it rose more than 20% on an annual basis in December. Electric vehicles made in Oklahoma are now hitting the streets in the Sooner State. The canoe vehicles, as they're called, were made in a plant in Oklahoma City, and last week the state received the first 3. They're going to go to the Oklahoma Office of Management and Enterprise Services, the Department of Corrections, and the Department of Transportation. The DOT says they're going to use their vehicle to tour the state, talking about electric vehicle infrastructure. Flyers traveling with American Airlines could get more perks in the future. The company says it's adding more benefits to its frequent flyer program, Advantage. Later in January, Advantage members can get a partial trip credit if they cancel a non-refundable basic flight ticket. They'll also be given 6 more months to use trip credits from canceled flights. A final check of the forecast up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the strain and influx of migrants is having on America's largest school district. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have some tips to keep you safe from hypothermia and frostbite during the upcoming bitter cold. Plus, we're going to have more on that historic new old addition to the Miners Hall Museum in Pittsburgh. And Missouri Southern and Pitt State basketball both hit the floor today. We're going to break down their matchups. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Now let's check back with Doug.
All right, Scaren, thunderstorms in here late this evening, and then a little bit of freezing drizzle, light coating of snow late tonight, but turning much colder. Only 23 tomorrow, only 20 Saturday, only 10 on Sunday, with another band of light snow late Sunday into Monday. So bitterly cold temperatures really rolling in, settling in for about the next 5 or 6 days. Dow?
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Please be careful out there, stay warm, and let's make it a great evening.